I'll be right back, Mr. James.
Okay.
You guys just let us know when you want to get started.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. The Reba guy was ready to make it Thursday, so he was coming with the parole on Thursday. Parole has not told me yet they're not coming, so I'm sure we're just gonna wait it out and see. But I moved him to 26 to do his next thing. But he doesn't really want to do like two Reba. He didn't really want to do a whole nother session. He wanted to just kind of do office hours all night. I put him at 1 o'clock, but I'm pretty sure he just wants to do a couple, several hours of office hours and or several sessions with those that want to do the mock interviews. So, if you're here next Wednesday, I have a script that I use. You see it's up in the far bottom corner of this bulletin board. Oh, to the left. Oh, right here. Yeah. So that's a funny script. So there's a good version.
Thank you. I'm back.
And then I'll have a bunch of handouts and stuff that I use.
Okay, Leah Jasmine, we're ready to go.
All right, sounds good.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right.
All right. My name is Mrs. Fields. On camera with me are my colleagues, Mr. James and Ms. Wiggins. Would you please state your name and DOC number, please?
Jerrill Alcorn, 286598.
All right. Sir, we are the three-person panel that are responsible for conducting your parole eligibility hearing today. I believe you had a parole eligibility hearing back in 2022. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At that time, you were interviewed by a two-person panel. Since that time, you may have heard about some legislative changes that have taken place that require us to operate in panels of three now. It does not change the way in which we operate other than all three of us have to come to an agreement rather than the two-person panel that was previously that you saw. Do you have any questions about that?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir, do you need me to go over how the hearing will operate today? Or do you remember back from 22 how that was conducted?
Could you go over it, please?
Yes, sir, I'll be glad to. All right, sir. The first thing we'll do is we'll read through your resident record card. We'll go through the crime story, what you're incarcerated for today. When we go through that, I need you to tell me, what took place, who, what, when, where, and what happened, okay, when we go through the crime story. Then we'll talk about your criminal history. We'll talk about any programs that you've done while you've been incarcerated. We'll talk about any disciplinary actions that you have had. Then we'll talk about a release plan, where you would go, what you would do in the event you were granted the privilege of parole again. We'll talk about any other things that, maybe tight ends that we didn't cover during the interview process. Then my colleagues will have an opportunity to speak with you, ask you questions, anything that they may have picked up throughout the interview that they want clarification for. Then finally, before we go off camera and deliberate, you'll have an opportunity to address us, tell us anything that you want to, discuss anything that, we discussed during the interview process that you want to clarify or something to that effect. Okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Throughout this hearing, you may notice that we're not always focusing directly on you. We've got multiple computer screens. We've got notes. We've got a lot of information on you. So it's not that we're not paying attention to you. It's just we want to make sure that we assure that you get the best possible parole eligibility hearing and that we ask and get the answers to all the questions that help us make the decision today. Do you have any questions moving forward?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir. As I said, my name is Mrs. Fields, and the first thing we'll do is we'll go through your resident record card, okay? I have Jerrill Alcorn, DOC number 286598. I have that you are housed medium custody there at Lee Adjustment Center. You're 49 years of age. Your parole eligibility is April of 2025. You are serving a 20-year sentence for the following convictions: manslaughter, second degree, and burglary, second degree. You have served approximately 10 years, 9 months, and 15 days. You have approximately 4 years, 6 months, and 0 days remaining. It looks like that you have non-restorable good time loss of 730 days. It also looks like you have been given the privilege of parole previously from February the 28th of 22 to March the 14th of 23, and you were out for a total of 379 days. Does this information sound correct, sir?
Yes, all of it, but the age.
How old are you?
31.
You're 31. I'm sorry. I read your bed number or something like that. You're 31 years of age. Your date of birth is 4/18 of 1993. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I don't want to make you any older than you need to be. All right, sir. So let's start by talking about the manslaughter and the burglary. Tell me what happened on the date in which this took place. Can you hear me, sir? Looks like he's froze.
Recording stopped.
Hello, sir. No, it looks like they've gone off.
It was 10 years ago. It was yes,
All right,
ma'am.
sir.
We had a little my mom's house for a cook.
Sir, I can't see you.
Okay.
And we had a little session there where you froze on us.
Hear me.
So give us
Recording
just
in
about
progress.
clear it for about 10 seconds or so.
Okay, I still can't see him. Okay, I see you and see him partially.
All right, how about that?
You're good now. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, we've been having a little technical difficulties throughout this, and we'll work through it, okay? My question was, tell me what happened that date that this crimes occurred.
Yeah. I went to my mom's for a cookout because she hadn't seen my little girl yet at the time. My little girl was 6 months old. So we went out there to take her to show her my little girl, which at the time, at the altercation, me and her boyfriend at the time, which was Roger Gooch, got into an altercation twice. We got the first time was in the house. We got into like a wrestling match in the house. Then the second time it ended up outside where I went to the truck to smoke a cigarette and he came to the door with the axe handle. I then proceeded down to him and asked him what he was going to do with that. And he struck me with it. So then I grabbed him, jerked him out of the house, threw him on the ground, hit him a few times, and he quit moving after that.
Okay. So did you strike him with your fist?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you were at the truck, how far away was the truck from the house? The PSI stated it was up on a hill. You went up on a hill to a truck, and Sharika Gooch was there as well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to calm you down, and y'all were talking through what had transpired.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how far away was the truck parked from where the house was?
20, 30 feet.
Okay. So not that far.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So Mr. Gooch came to the door with the axe handle,
Yes, ma'am.
and you made some type of comment that he wasn't going to hit me with that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
So if you were away from the situation, why did you go back into a situation you knew was volatile?
To be honest, probably at the time I was probably looking for a fight.
Okay. Did you like Mr. Gooch?
I had no problem with it.
He was your mother's boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you had no problems with him. Why did y'all
No, ma'am.
consistently have these altercations while you were visiting?
Well, we was in,
We're having a little difficulty.
intoxicated, drinking, and popping Xanaxes. So
Okay.
that
So
probably
both of
had a
you were
lot
in,
to do with it.
yeah, there was a lot of heavy drinking going on that day, wasn't there, by most
Can you hear
everybody
me?
there?
Yes.
Okay. And Xanaxes were being taken as well, along with alcohol?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you were under the influence at the time as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you struck the defendant you struck Roger in the face and threw him out the door. And he landed.
I grabbed him before I struck him.
Okay, you grabbed him. Did you jump on top of him?
Yes.
Okay. So what killed Mr. Gooch?
I guess the blows. Like when you said jump on top of him, like I wasn't physically jumping on top of him. I was just
Yeah, I mean
standing
that. Yeah,
over.
just like you straddled him. You straddled him or something
Yes.
to that effect, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So who realized that Mr. Gooch was not breathing or was not responsive?
See, while this was going on, my brother had came to the door and seen what was going on and shoved me off of it.
Mm-hmm. And is that Zachary?
Yes.
Okay. So did Zachary realize that Mr. Gooch was having difficulties or was not breathing?
You see, at the time he was still breathing. When it took a little while for him to stop breathing.
Okay. So
Like
go ahead.
he was laying on the ground breathing, but he wasn't responding. So then my brother had called the ambulance, and by the time that they had got there, he had stopped breathing.
Okay. So who attempted to do CPR on Mr. Gooch?
My brother.
Okay. Where were you during all this?
Standing beside it.
Okay. So, an ambulance was called. Did the police come as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they interviewed you at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you basically tell them the story that you have told me today?
Yes, ma'am. Told it to him. Told it to him twice there, and I went to the hospital with him, and told him there too.
So you were originally charged with murder, correct?
Yes.
And then it was amended down to manslaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
So the burglary charges, was that from the related to, I know the whole situation, but originally you were invited to the house that day. But the second time when you came back, was that kind of what stemmed from you being charged with burglary?
How I was told is that I was charged with burglary for like being on the property,
Okay.
even though I had permission.
Yeah. All right, because I didn't know if it was related to maybe the second time that you went back, after leaving and the first altercations with Mr. Gooch, and it was that second time that, when you were, okay. All right. Sir, how do you feel about this crime?
I feel. I mean, I did it. I mean, I ain't okay with it, but it's not like anything I can do to change it. So all I can do is do the time, be sorry about it, and move forward from here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, sir. My colleagues may have additional questions related to the crime story. So, your past criminal history, you had an assault prior, but it was dismissed. You had some harassing communication charges associated with that assault that was dismissed. Who were you harassing at that time, or what was going on with the communications? It was back in 2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest,
I know that's having you dig back in the brain quite a bit.
I don't even remember.
Okay. You might remember about the assault. It was a domestic violence.
Does it say with who?
No, I don't have any details of that information, so. So you don't remember much about that?
It's been a while. I don't remember.
Okay. It looks like you had did you have a burglary previously? Have you had a prior burglary charges? Any prior
No,
burglary
ma'am.
charges? No? Okay.
No.
So the burglary charge related to this offense that we're talking about today is the only burglary charges you've ever had?
Yes,
So how would
ma'am.
you say your criminal history? Would you consider it you've had quite a lengthy criminal history, or just so-so?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Not much there.
Yeah, there's not a lot there. I agree with you. But you're pretty young. How old were you when you first became did you have any juvenile situations or anything like that? Have you ever had any past? Sir, I think you froze up on me.
Recording stopped.
Is that better?
I can hear you. Now I can see you and hear you. I can hear you.
Recording in progress.
All right, sir. We was talking about your younger days. How was your youth time?
Yes.
How was your youth time? How were you as a child and a young adult or a youngster?
As a child, I wasn't. The police where the parents called the police on me because I had been gone. I hadn't come back home for like a week. So the police got involved, and to, they had to come.
We're cutting in and out some.
Like it's frozen again.
I can see him talking, but I can't hear him.
Find me, and when they found me, they sent me to
Yeah.
Adair County and charged me with a runaway. That was the first time I had run in with the police as a young one.
Okay.
You can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Are you? I can't hear you, sir.
us
No.
now?
With the running, that's the first time with the. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The first time I ran in with the police as a young one is they called the police on me because I ran away from home and didn't come back home for like a week and a half, and they charged me with a runaway.
Okay.
That was the first time that I ran in with the police.
Okay. So you left home when you turned 18 and pretty much tried to start on your own. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. So when did you first dabble into drugs? Alcohol or marijuana or anything like that?
About 12 or 13.
Okay. And you drank alcohol pretty much, it says socially on the weekends, through the age of 21.
Somewhere in that.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, but you were under the influence of
That
David.
was with alcohol, but with the drug.
We're cutting in and
It
out.
was a little older. It was
Okay.
We may have to stop for just a moment because we're not catching all of the.
No, we're not.
It's not being recorded.
Recording stopped.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you see us?
Yes.
Are you able to see us?
Recording in progress.
Yes, I can see and hear you. We're back on record with Jerrill Alcorn. All right, sir. Carry on telling me about how your childhood was. And I mean, we were talking about your drug usage at a young age, when you
Shut
used
up.
drugs.
All right. So I started using drugs alcohol. I started drinking alcohol before that. It was about 12 or 13, and then 15, and then it just kept escalating after that. More and more drugs kept coming in after that as I got older.
All right, sir. Okay. So let's talk about your programming while you've been incarcerated. Looks like you completed SAP last August. What did you learn
Yes,
from the SAP program?
Instead of just acting on impulse, stopping to think about your actions and what to say before you proceed with whatever you're going to do.
Okay. So how are you going to adapt that learning out into the real world if you're granted the privilege of parole?
I haven't basically. Could you repeat that?
I said, how are you going to adapt what you've learned in SAP if you're granted the privilege of parole when you're on the outside?
Basically, well, me personally, I just need to stay busy. Like if I'm busy, as long as I'm busy, I won't get in no trouble.
Okay.
So busy, so just have a job. Just have a job. That's it.
Okay. So you've been recommended for MRT. It looks like are you on the wait list for that? Have you been able to get into any other
I
program?
have no idea. I haven't applied for it.
Okay. The classification
No,
officer recommended you for the MRT program. Would you be okay with taking that program?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay. All right, sir. Let's talk about your disciplinaries. What's been going on with you while you've been incarcerated? You had recently, back in late 24, you had the disruptive behavior. So what was going on there?
What happened?
Disruptive behavior.
I know it, but
That's what I'm asking you. It was a one-on-one inmate fight with a weapon.
oh, that one. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. No,
That's what the code was.
There was four of us. It was there was three of us. We was outside of the bathroom talking, and there was the other dude. He was in the bathroom, which we knew nothing of at the time. He was in there with a knife, and when he come out of the bathroom is when we seen the knife, and that was when all of us grabbed chairs to defend ourselves.
Okay. You're fortunate you wasn't charged with something worse than what the disruptive behavior. And it looks like that you had a failure to abide by published rules while incarcerated, which is just a 110. I mean, it's no major offense. But do you have a problem following the rules in the institution? Okay.
No, ma'am. I think that time, I think I was just during count. I think I was at the microwave, putting coffee in the microwave.
Okay. Then late 23, you had a refusing, failing to comply with institutional counter lockup. That was a 407. That's when you were at the
Yes, ma'am.
microwave at that time. That's your microwave visit. That's the charge that you got with the microwave. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. So, based off talking about these disciplinaries, how could I be assured that you would follow the rules on the outside? Because institution, you're bound by rules each and every day. It's a pretty tight ship. So as far as what you got to do, how would I be assured that you would follow the rules on the outside and not get back incarcerated?
I've had that privilege before. You all let me out, and I messed up and came back, and basically I've learned from my mistakes, and now I've got kids. I got kids that I got too much time in behind the fence and not enough out on the streets with my kids, and now I want to put my kids before anything else. I'd rather be with them than to be behind the fence any longer.
You mentioned it when we let you out on parole before, and you were out that 379 days. It looks like you were revoked because you used alcohol. You entered a place where alcohol was sold as a primary commodity. You left the area. Your failure to report, failure to an address change, failure for treatment. Were you recommended to go to treatment?
Like we might have frozen
Sir?
again.
Sir, can you hear me?
Recording stopped.
Okay, give me just a second.
Recording in progress.
All right, sir. So tell me about that time that you were granted that privilege of parole.
It was Grand Privilege Pro, and you was asking about the
Counseling.
The counseling. See, I was going to the Suboxone clinic, and there they have counseling there. So every time that you go every 2 weeks, and every time that I was having to go, they have the counselor there, and I was having to talk to their counselor. So I was doing my counseling.
Are you there, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You've kind of froze on me just a little bit. Now you're good. Now you're good.
I said,
okay.
I was going to the Suboxone clinic, and they had their own counselor there that we had to see every 2 weeks. So I was doing my counseling.
Okay. So why would they say that you were failure to report? Okay, so your treatment. So
Yes, ma'am.
okay. All right, sir. So if you were granted the privilege of parole, what do you see the role of your probation and parole officer being? You've had to report prior to a probation and parole officer.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you feel about that probation and parole officer now compared to when you were granted that privilege before?
I don't feel no different than I did when I was out. When I was having to report, I was reporting on time, doing everything that he was asking me to do. That I was doing that. The only thing that I didn't report is like when I had a run in with the cops that got called to the house over arguing. I guess the neighbor called the cops because we was arguing. But yeah, only that's when I didn't report that to the my parole officer.
Uh-huh.
That was, I guess,
That was one of the charges that you were revoked on.
Yes, that and the alcohol
Mm-hmm.
and going out of the county. The alcohol I knew better of, and I knew better than to drink the alcohol and all that. But the going out of the county, I didn't know that I wasn't allowed to go out of the county because I was having to go out of the county to report to the parole officers. But to go anywhere else, I didn't know that I was supposed to report that.
Okay. All right, sir. So where would you go? Where would you live? How would you make a living? What would life be like for Mr. Alcorn if you're granted the privilege of parole?
But this time, from granted the privilege of parole, I have a job waiting on me. The last time I didn't.
What's the job?
Caterpillar,
Okay. What would you be doing?
operating heavy equipment.
Okay. Have you done that before?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. So where would you live?
Lincoln.
Okay. So you would go back to the county in which these offenses took place. Is that where your support system is?
Yes, ma'am.
How strong is your support system?
It's pretty strong.
All right, sir. I do see that you had back in 23, you had a letter of support that was submitted. Acknowledge those from 23. All right, sir. My colleagues, I'm going to ask them if they have any questions for you. If you would show them the courtesy you show me, I appreciate it. Miss Wiggins?
Yes, thank you. Can you still see and hear us okay? It looks like you were frozen for just a moment.
Yeah,
Again.
yes, I can see.
Okay.
Her.
I just want to make sure that you have heard everything. There was a couple of things that has been said I was a little concerned on. You were asked in response to, what could you have done differently? I can't remember exactly what the question was, but you said that you guess you could be sorry for it. So my question is are you sorry for the actions?
My charges, yes, I'm absolutely sorry for them.
Okay.
If it was something I could do differently, I would.
Okay. Well, that was going to actually be my next question. What could you have done differently?
Left. I should have left. I could have left.
Okay.
When I was
so
up
you
on,
were because you were at, correct me if I'm wrong, you were at your vehicle, you were outside of the house. When he came up he approached you, did you approach him as well?
see where how the house is. It's like the house right here, the house, and then you gotta walk a little distance to get to the truck. I was up at the truck when he was at the door, and so he didn't know. He didn't confront me. I went back down and confronted him.
Okay. So you confronted him, and so you were part of that confrontation, and at what point could you have done something differently?
I should have just never went back down there.
Right. Okay. You were also asked about your SAP program and like recovery and like your recovery plan. But all I heard was that you were just wanting to get a job. As a former SAP counselor, director, to me, that answer is not quite satisfactory. When you have a substance issue, just getting a job is not something that's going to solve everything. It's something that you need to continue and to resolve and to work on, because addiction and those behaviors and those thinking errors can resurface. So I wasn't quite satisfied that you were just going to get a job. I really wanted to hear that you had something becoming an aftercare plan on addressing that. Do you have any mental health concerns that has not been documented?
No, ma'am. Not that I'm
Okay.
aware of.
All right. I didn't know if you had any depression, anxiety, PTSD, or anything like that. I just wanted to see. So after I brought this to your attention, how could you address in your ongoing substance recovery and have a relapse prevention plan? What would that include?
See, the last time I was out, I was going to the Suboxone clinic. That
Okay.
that helped a lot too. It's like I was
Well,
telling
what all, and I heard you say that, but what all, I mean, because the clinic is just going to the clinic is not going to be enough. Is there meetings that that you have to attend to get that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you attending those meetings like you were supposed to?
Yes, because in order for before you leave, for them to write your medicine out, you have to go to that in the back to their meetings.
Okay. All right. Is it just the opioid or the alcohol? Is there any other drugs that you have an addiction with?
No, it's just the alcohol.
Okay.
And then at the alcohol, and then it was the pills.
Okay. Are you still on the Suboxone or taking that medicine right now?
Right,
Or
right
that
now,
plan?
right now, no, ma'am. I'm incarcerated at the time.
Okay. Because well, sometimes they can provide that. I didn't know if you were still. So how are you managing it there?
I'm just managing it. Like, here, like if you do any of that and they catch you doing that, it's a write up. It's a pretty hefty write up. And
I understand that.
all,
I was just wanting to know how are you managing your cravings and your thinking errors. Like, you should have learned that about the substance abuse program about your thinking errors and how you identified with them and your relapse prevention plan. So how are you managing that right now is my question.
working out is how I manage it.
All right. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Wiggins. Mr. James?
Mr. Alcorn, Miss Wiggins just spoke to you about you said you were, at the time of your revocation, you were attending substance abuse treatment and you were going to your meetings. Is that what you, indicated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right. You got terminated let's see here. You supposed to go, was there one time you were having some issues with the drug, with your, programming and you got, looks like they, were trying to get you to do an IOP program
Yes.
and, let's see here. It says that you received an email verification from the parole that you failed to engage in the IOP program services again. And you got discharged from the program back in December of 22. Then you got revoked in March of 23. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want you to talk to us about this. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right thing in front of me here. Talk to us about this new felony charge that happened on the 15th of March with a Miss Sydney Staten.
A new felony charge. What was the felony charge?
It was going to be strangulation, second degree, unlawful imprisonment, and T-butt. Do you know a Staten? Do you know a Sydney Staten?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. So they got a call on March the 15th to an address, 124 Star Avenue.
Yes, sir.
What happened? What happened that day?
That day we was in the shower with the people that called the police, what they heard wasn't what was going on.
So the Miss Staten, her remarks were y'all were involved in a physical altercation, and you put your hands around her throat and began to choke her. Then you quit. Did you do that?
No, sir.
Why would she say that if you didn't do that?
It's like again, because what I said that they said that was happening, it wasn't happening.
No. I'm just reading what I'm reading what Miss Staten said. I'm not reading what they said. I'm reading what Miss Staten said, the victim. She said you grabbed your hands and put it around her throat.
Yeah, I know that.
And then the officer investigating, he saw some red marks around her throat. And you're saying you didn't do it.
They were hickeys.
Okay. She tried to call 911. You took her phone from her? Wouldn't allow her to call 911. Remember that?
I don't remember. That's a lie. I don't remember.
So you drawing a blank on the whole incident? You don't remember this incident at all?
No, I remember. It's just that these details is coming up as what was said to me. Because when we was questioned about it, isn't what was told.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all the questions I have for Mr. Alcorn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you for talking to him about that incident. All right, Mr. Alcorn, now it's your opportunity to talk to us. Tell us anything that we didn't cover and why you should be granted the privilege of parole.
Y'all covered everything.
Do you have anything to say?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir. All right. If you don't have anything to add to the conversation, then we're going to go off camera and discuss your interview, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be back with you shortly. Just stay right there.
Recording stopped.
It looks like they're on, but we can't see the camera. Lee Adjustment, are you there? Okay, there we
All right.
are.
Can you hear me, sir?
Recording in progress.
You can see, hear, and understand me, okay? Sir, can you see, hear, and understand me?
You can't.
Yeah, you can't move how you want to.
Recording stopped.
I hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, I can't hear you.
Hello?
You still can't hear us?
I'll start the video for a second and see. I can probably check them. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear and see us? Maybe
I
they
can
haven't
see
come
and
back
hear
yet.
you.
We'll see.
There you go.
We can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Recording
sir.
in
Yes, ma'am.
progress.
Okay. You see us and all that? Okay, good.
Correct. Sir, can you see, hear, and understand me? Sir, can you see?
We can hear. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. We are back on record with Jerrill Alcorn, DOC number 286598. Mr. Alcorn, after discussion with my colleagues, based off the seriousness, violence involved, prior misdemeanor, life taken, and poor institutional adjustment, a history of drugs and alcohol involvement, and a history of violating parole, we are deferring you 12 months today. There's a couple programs we want you to complete that we believe will help you and make you a better candidate for parole on your next hearing. And those programs are the MRT program and the MRT Stay and Quit. You have completed SAP, and the Stay and Quit's a follow-up to that. Okay, sir? We wish you the best of luck.
Good luck,
Luck to
sir.
you. Good luck.
Recording stopped.
Go fill out MRT form and we got Stephen Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to go.
Those in there, okay?
Nah.
Renee, I've already let Mr. Smith know that, you've been recommended.
All right.
But you gotta apply, additional master stamp, today.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you give us your name and